Hi guys, it's Chris at Cork and Crown, back in my French G with some more cider to try. It's more French cider because we're in France. We're actually in the Loire, which is not, the heartland of cider, unfortunately, so I can only get some quite generic stuff. But it's been interesting nonetheless. And what we're going to have today is from a cidery we've had cider from before, a couple of films ago, a Cornwall cider. It's the Brun is the name of the cidery, but this is the bottle, Brut. Cidre Fermier de Bretagne. So 100% gites, hand-picked apparently, so ticking some boxes there. 5.5%, it's Brut, so dry at 5.5%. It's definitely classified as Brut. In France, anything over 4.5%, 4.5% or over is. There's loads of stuff on the back which are in French, so I'm not going to read it. So, yeah. So this is IGP. Cornwall was AOC, I think, and that's the AOP. That's the only one that is AOP of all the ciders, I believe. Certainly, well, in Brittany, I should say. The Pays d'Auge in Normandy has AOP or AOC. I get confused between AOP and AOC. This is IGP though, which is less strict. The apples can come from further afield. I mean, all within the environs of Brittany, but not all from one farm. On this is Fermier on it, so I don't know what I mean by Fermier. I don't know. Will the cork come out? Come on, cork, come out. Ah. Yes. That is a smoking gun, if ever I saw one. Some nice bubbles in there. Let's pour it out. So we're travelling back through Caen to get the ferry tomorrow, which is a big place in Normandy. And I found this little shop in Caen that sells quite a few small independent ciders. And some Dom Perry as well, Poire, which I want to try as well. So I'm going to try and pick some up on the way back, and then we can try them in the shed back in London. That sounds fun, doesn't it? It does, Chris. Good. So let's try and do that. So colour-wise, what we got? I mean, it's all been very similar, hasn't it? It's a lovely colour. It's a lovely gold amber. More amber than gold, I want to say. It's bright. I mean, I assume it's filtered. I don't know if it's bottle conditioned. I assume it's... No, that is not bottle conditioned. But, it's hard to say. I mean, there's no yeast in there whatsoever. Traditionally with this sort of thing, it'd be pet nat. So you just sort of bottle it before it finished fermenting and it would get fizzy in the bottle. But I don't know if actually for IGP you could just force carbonate. No idea. But anyway, it's a nice, it's still, pretty thing. Looks good. Let's have a sniff. Very delicate nose. Very delicate nose. These aren't the best glasses for smelling, to be honest, but let's try to swirl it a little bit without throwing it everywhere. And the merest hint of that sort of rich apple character you get with these sorts of things. Red apple, baked apple. But there's sort of a green character in the background, I want to say. Yeah. Slight hint of sort of greenness in the background. And probably the most delicate nose we've had in any of the ciders so far. Let's try it. Okay. Solid astringency, solid tannin. I mean, it's Brut, but there's plenty of sugar in this. And one assumes it has to be natural sugar, because I think these are all going to be keeved. It's got lots of apple character actually, rich, ripe, but more towards a fresh red apple, like a sweet red apple. So it's not sort of green malic. There's acidity. It was quite gentle, but this is bordering just for me more on like a fresh apple. Just fresh red apple. You just cut it in half and took a bite. That's so fabulous. There is a hint of like Demerara, Muscovado kind of sugar about it as well, but it is leaning towards that sort of fresh apple character. It's reasonably sweet, and it's 5.5%, so it must have had a decent amount of sugar in it to start with. The sweetness is nice, bordering on cloying, just a little bit. This is quite warm. It could be a bit colder. It's almost starting to remind me sort of like the Weston's vintage ciders, which I don't really like very much, I have to say. I find the sweetness and cloying. This isn't anything like that at all. I'd much rather drink this. Certainly got more tannin. But the sweetness is just, it's reminiscent of that, I want to say. Now, I don't buy the cheapest stuff. In fact, I tend to buy the most expensive stuff on the shelf. I had to get this in the supermarket because I know it's to buy it really around here. And this is like €3, 3 something euros. So it's still dirt cheap, but double the price of some of the things on the shelf. you know, and following the comment from Le Jérôme Cider in Belgium that was left on the Instagram account of the day about, you know, how so many cider producers, or apple growers rather, are on the verge of bankruptcy because it forces the price of what they can get is forced down by the cooperatives, like what they can get in terms of payment for their apples. It's so low that they can barely make a living. So, you know, in good conscience, I can't buy the cheapest stuff. I always have to go for stuff that's a bit more expensive. Maybe I'm getting ripped off and they're doing the same thing as getting a bigger cut. But I don't think so. I mean, this is 100% cheese, etc. So, you know, they're doing some things right for sure. But it is still like a tasty apple dessert. But the apples haven't been cooked too much. It's more like an apple pie thing. So it's still got a bit of acidity. You know, I had an apple tart the other day at a patisserie, and the apples were just to say cooked. So they were sweet, they still had texture, and had a bit of acidity, and that's what this reminds me of. So it's less tartar, and more like just a very gently cooked, possibly poached apple. Still tasty stuff. Not blowing me away. I still think that the Melanig, the first one we did, the Cornwall OP from the very small producer, which is the most expensive one I tried. How funny is that? That was like €6.25 or something like that, euros, which is still pretty cheap, I think, for a 750ml bottle of something which is like very small production. Yeah, it had more character, more bite, more body, you know, just a bigger beast. This is perfectly delicious, and I will drink it. But, you know, it's not setting my world on fire, but I do think it's pleasant, and that's good because I bought a couple of these. Just because it was the last time I was going to be in the supermarket, so I thought I'd grab a couple of things. Anyway, so there you go. And Reflets de France is some sort of company, I think. This is some distribution company that brings together lots of foodstuffs, traditional foodstuffs from different regions, and then sells them online. So I think this is their labelling for the stuff that they get made for them at Le Brun, Cidre. Okay, there you go. Our last cider in the gite, but we're going to have more back in the shed when we get back to England, and we look forward to that. And some interesting stuff, hopefully, if I can pick some cool, small production stuff on the way back home. Okay, guys, thank you for joining me in my gite. I hope you join me again in the near future, elsewhere. But until then, cheers.